Hello, my sleepy traveler. Tonight we're wandering into a world where mountains had personalities, rivers listened to gossip, and the gods could completely ruin your week simply because they woke up in a bad mood. So, before you close your eyes, imagine waking up in ancient Greece. There are no phones, no electricity, no comfortable mattresses. Your morning alarm is probably a rooster who takes his job far too seriously. Breakfast depends entirely on whether someone remembered to grind the grain yesterday. And somewhere above the clouds, Zeus is making another questionable life decision. Life wasn't exactly peaceful. People believed every storm carried a message. Every strange dream meant something. Every unexplained noise in the forest was probably blamed on a god, a spirit, or something with far too many heads. Honestly, if you survived childhood in Greek mythology, you were already doing remarkably well. Tonight's story belongs to one of the greatest heroes the Greeks ever imagined. His name was Perseus. But here's something interesting. Perseus wasn't born as a fearless warrior. He didn't arrive carrying a sword. He wasn't surrounded by cheering crowds. He wasn't even particularly lucky. In fact, his life began because someone became terrified of the future. As you'll quickly discover, ancient Greek kings had a habit of making terrible decisions whenever someone mentioned a prophecy. And unfortunately, King Acrisius of Argos was about to become another perfect example. Now, King Acrisius had wealth. He had soldiers. He had magnificent halls decorated with polished stone and shining bronze. He ruled one of the strongest kingdoms in Greece. But despite everything he possessed, one thing kept him awake at night. He had no son, only one daughter, a beautiful princess named Dano. Now, today, that might not sound like a problem, but thousands of years ago, many kings believed only sons could continue a royal family. Without one, everything they'd spent their lives building might disappear. So, like many anxious rulers before him, Acrisius decided to seek answers from the oracle. And if there's one place in Greek mythology where absolutely nobody leaves happier than they arrived, it's an oracle. People traveled enormous distances just to hear mysterious predictions that usually sounded confusing until they came true in the worst possible way. The old priests performed sacred rituals. Smoke drifted slowly into the air. Silence filled the temple. Then, the prophecy arrived. King Acrisius would never have a son. Instead, his daughter's future son would one day kill him. Now, let's pause for a moment. Imagine hearing that. You spend your entire life building a kingdom, only to discover that your own grandson is supposedly destined to end your life. A sensible person might have accepted that the future cannot always be controlled. But this is Greek mythology. Sensible people rarely become famous. King Acrisius immediately convinced himself that he had discovered the perfect solution. If Dano never married, she could never have children. If she never had children, no grandson. No grandson, no prophecy. Simple. Except Greek mythology has another rule. Whenever humans think they've outsmarted destiny, destiny quietly laughs. Acrisius ordered builders to create an enormous bronze chamber. Some stories describe it as an underground prison. Others say it stood above the earth like an enormous tower made almost entirely of bronze. Either way, it had only one purpose: to keep Princess Diana away from every man alive. No visitors, no celebrations, no freedom, just endless isolation. Imagine spending years inside a room where the only company is silence. No fresh adventures, no bustling marketplaces, no festivals, only tiny beams of sunlight slipping through narrow openings high above. The king believed his problem had finally been solved. Unfortunately for him, the king had remembered ordinary men. He had forgotten about Zeus, and forgetting about Zeus almost never ended well, because Zeus, king of the gods, had developed something of a reputation. Whenever he noticed someone beautiful, he rarely accepted ordinary boundaries. Locked doors, not a problem. Stone walls, hardly an inconvenience. Impossible situations, almost a hobby. According to the ancient storytellers, Zeus looked down upon lonely Danae and decided to visit her in one of the strangest forms found anywhere in mythology. Not as a warrior, not as a traveler, not disguised as a king. Instead, he became a shower of golden light, soft, glowing, almost like sunlight made liquid. The ancient Greeks loved symbolism. Gold represented divine power, heavenly light, something beyond ordinary human understanding. Whether they meant this literally or poetically, people have debated for over 2,000 years. Either way, the result remained the same. Danae soon became pregnant, and somewhere beyond King Acrisius' knowledge, the prophecy had already begun moving toward its destination. Destiny, as always, had quietly taken its first step. The birth of Perseus should have been a moment of joy. Instead, it became the beginning of a king's greatest nightmare. Hidden inside the bronze chamber, Princess Danae held her newborn son close. The tiny baby had no idea that, according to one frightened prophecy, he was already considered the most dangerous person in the kingdom. For a short while, mother and child remained hidden, but secrets rarely survive for long inside a royal palace. One day, King Acrisius heard something impossible, the soft cry of a baby. At first, he refused to believe it. That couldn't be right. The chamber had been sealed. No man had entered. No escape had ever been possible. Yet the sound came again. Small, quiet, but unmistakable. The king hurried toward the bronze prison, his footsteps echoing through the stone corridors. As the heavy doors opened, he saw the truth with his own eyes. Danae, holding an infant. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Acrisius looked at the child, then at his daughter, as if hoping the entire scene would somehow disappear. Instead, fear slowly replaced disbelief. He demanded to know who the father was. Danae answered with complete honesty. She told him that Zeus himself had visited her. Now, imagine trying to explain that to someone who already thinks the universe is plotting against him. The king didn't believe a single word. Or perhaps he believed it far too much. Either way, the prophecy suddenly felt more real than ever. But there was one problem. Even Acrisius knew that killing his own daughter and grandson might bring the anger of the gods, and offending Olympus was usually a very short path to disaster. So the king searched for another solution, one that would leave their fate in the hands of the sea. Workers were ordered to build a large wooden chest, strong enough to survive the waves, just barely. Dano was placed inside. Little Perseus rested quietly in her arms, completely unaware that his first journey in life would begin across an endless ocean. The lid closed above them. Darkness. Silence. Then, the chest was pushed into the sea. The waves caught it immediately, slowly at first, then farther and farther from the shore. King Acrisius stood on the cliffs watching until it disappeared beyond the horizon. He believed he had finally escaped destiny. No blood on his hands, no murder, only the sea deciding their future. Unfortunately, the sea had plans of its own. Ancient Greek sailors often believed the ocean was alive. Every wave belonged to Poseidon. Every current carried purpose. And tonight, the gods were not finished with Perseus. As the tiny chest drifted through the dark water beneath countless stars, a story that would shape Greek mythology for thousands of years was only just beginning. The sea can be wonderfully peaceful or completely indifferent. For days, the wooden chest drifted wherever the waves decided to carry it. Inside, Princess Dano held little Perseus as tightly as she could. She had no map, no food worth mentioning, and absolutely no way to know if the next wave would be their last. Yet somehow, the sea refused to claim them. The storms came, then passed. The winds howled, then grew quiet, and each morning the tiny chest continued floating beneath the warm Greek sun. Perhaps Poseidon had shown mercy, or perhaps the fates had already decided that Perseus still had many chapters left to live. Eventually, a small island appeared on the horizon. Its rocky cliffs rose from the sparkling blue water, while white seabirds circled overhead. The island was called Seriphos. Far below the cliffs, an old fisherman named Dictys was preparing for another ordinary day. His mornings rarely changed. Untangle the fishing nets, check the ropes, push the little boat into the sea, hope the fish were feeling cooperative. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was honest. As Dictys looked across the gentle waves, something unusual caught his eye. A large wooden chest, floating alone. Now, most people today would probably assume it was driftwood, or maybe somebody's missing cargo. Ancient Greek fishermen were a little more imaginative. Some believed strange objects carried messages from the gods. Others believed they carried terrible curses. Either possibility made life far more interesting. Curiosity won. Rowing carefully toward the chest, Dictys hooked it with a long pole and slowly pulled it closer. It was surprisingly heavy. Very carefully, he pried the lid open. Instead of treasure, he found something far more valuable. A frightened young woman holding a sleeping baby. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. The fisherman simply stared. Danae blinked against the bright sunlight after days trapped in darkness. Little Perseus slept peacefully, completely unaware that his life had just been saved by a man with rough hands and a kind heart. Dictys didn't ask for gold. He didn't demand an explanation. He simply helped them climb onto his boat. Sometimes, the greatest heroes aren't kings. They aren't warriors. They're ordinary people who choose kindness when nobody is watching. Dictys brought them safely back to Seriphos. His small home wasn't a palace. The roof leaked during heavy rain. The furniture had certainly seen better days, and dinner depended almost entirely on how successful the fishing had been. But to Dano, it felt like paradise. For the first time in many days, she and her son were safe. As the years passed, Perseus grew into a bright, curious boy. He learned to fish, to climb the rocky hills, to run along the beaches where the waves crashed against the shore. He laughed often, worked hard. Years passed, and little Perseus was little no longer. The frightened baby who had crossed the sea inside a wooden chest had grown into a strong young man. He spent his mornings helping Dictys repair fishing nets, his afternoons climbing the rocky cliffs of Seriphos, and his evenings watching the sun disappear beyond the endless sea. Life was simple, peaceful, almost ordinary, but in Greek mythology, peace rarely lasts for very long. The island of Seriphos was ruled by King Polydex. Unlike Dictys, Polydex enjoyed power. He admired expensive treasures, fine clothing, and above all, getting exactly what he wanted. One day, while visiting the village, the king noticed Dano. Although many years had passed since she escaped Argos, her grace and quiet strength had never faded. Polydex became fascinated. He decided he wanted her as his wife. There was only one problem: Perseus. By now, Perseus was fiercely protective of his mother. Whenever the king visited their home, Perseus remained nearby, watching, listening, making it very clear that Dano would not be forced into anything she didn't want. Polydex quickly realized something. As long as Perseus remained on the island, winning Dany's heart or forcing the matter would be nearly impossible. So, the king began to think, and dangerous men usually do their worst thinking in silence. Instead of confronting Perseus directly, he created a clever trap. A royal banquet was announced. Everyone of importance on Seriphos was invited. Perseus too. The great hall sparkled with bronze lamps. Music echoed through the room. Servants carried roasted lamb, fresh bread, olives, cheese, and enough wine to make tomorrow's conversations wonderfully embarrassing. Then, King Polydex stood, smiling warmly. "My friends," he announced, "I intend to marry." The guests applauded. One by one, each nobleman promised an expensive wedding gift: magnificent horses, golden cups, beautiful weapons, rare jewels. When the king finally turned toward Perseus, the room became strangely quiet. "And you, Perseus? What gift will you bring your king?" Perseus froze. He owned almost nothing. No horses, no gold, no silver, only his courage. Embarrassed and not wanting to appear poor before the entire court, he answered far too quickly, "I can bring you anything." The king smiled. It was the smile of someone whose trap had just worked perfectly. "Anything?" Polydex repeated softly. Perseus nodded. Without hesitation, the king spoke the words that changed everything. Then bring me the head of Medusa. Silence. Every guest stopped eating. Several quietly looked down at their plates. Even the musicians forgot to play. Everyone knew who Medusa was. She wasn't simply dangerous. She was impossible. One glance into her eyes, and the strongest warrior became nothing more than a stone statue. No one had ever returned from hunting her, because no one survived long enough to tell the story. Perseus immediately understood what had happened. This had never been about a wedding gift. The king didn't expect success. He expected a funeral. If Perseus accepted, he would almost certainly die. If he refused, he would be branded a coward before the entire kingdom. Polydex lifted his cup, still smiling. Sometimes, the deadliest weapon isn't a sword. It's a sentence spoken at exactly the right moment. And without realizing it, Perseus had just volunteered for the most impossible quest in all of Greece. Far above the clouds, the gods were already watching, because the journey to Medusa's cave was about to begin. That night, Perseus couldn't sleep. The king's words echoed through his mind, like waves crashing against the cliffs of Seriphos. Bring me the head of Medusa. It sounded less like a request and more like a carefully planned execution. Outside, the island had grown quiet. Fishing boats rested gently in the harbor. A cool breeze carried the scent of salt across the hills. Most of Seriphos slept peacefully. Perseus did not. He walked alone beneath a sky filled with countless stars, wondering how a fisherman was supposed to defeat a creature that could kill with a single glance. The answer was simple. He couldn't, not alone, far above the world. On Mount Olympus, the gods had been watching every step of the story. Unlike humans, the Olympians rarely agreed on anything. They argued over cities, heroes, even whose temple had the nicest decorations. But tonight, one goddess paid especially close attention. Athena, goddess of wisdom, strategy, and clever solutions. You may remember that Medusa had once been connected to Athena's own temple. Their story was complicated, as most Greek myths tend to be. Athena had no love for Medusa, and she certainly had no interest in letting King Polydex destroy an innocent young man through deception. If Perseus was going to survive, he would need more than courage. He would need wisdom, and perhaps a little divine assistance. The next morning, as sunlight spilled across the hills of Seriphos, Perseus left the village before anyone else had awakened. He carried no grand weapon, only a simple traveler's cloak, a small knife, and determination that was considerably larger than his chances of success. Before long, an old traveler appeared on the road ahead. His gray cloak fluttered gently in the wind. A walking staff rested in one hand. His face looked ordinary enough, perhaps too ordinary. The stranger smiled. "You're walking with the expression of a man who has accepted an impossible job." Perseus couldn't help but laugh. "I've been asked to kill Medusa." The old man nodded, as though hearing someone complain about rainy weather. "That is unfortunate." Perseus blinked. "Unfortunate? Most people would call it impossible." The stranger's smile grew wider. Impossible is simply another word humans use before the gods become involved. Then, something extraordinary happened. The traveler's appearance shimmered. The gray cloak became brilliant white. Small golden wings appeared upon his sandals. Another pair decorated his traveler's cap. In his hand, the walking staff transformed into a polished golden rod, wrapped by two graceful serpents. Perseus immediately stepped back. There could be no mistake. Standing before him was Hermes, messenger of the gods, guide of travelers, master of clever tricks. Hermes chuckled. "You look relieved." "I was expecting more screaming." Perseus quickly bowed. "My lord." Hermes waved a hand. "No need for formal speeches. We have work to do." Before Perseus could ask another question, a soft glow appeared beside them. Cool, silver, almost like moonlight touching fresh marble. Athena had arrived. She wore shining armor unlike anything made by human hands. Yet, despite carrying weapons, her calm expression made her seem more like a patient teacher than a warrior. Perseus lowered his head once again. Athena spoke first. "You cannot defeat Medusa by strength. You will defeat her by thinking." Perseus listened carefully. Every word mattered. "To find Medusa," Athena continued, "you must first seek the Graeae." Hermes smiled knowingly. "The three old sisters who share." He paused dramatically. "One eye." Perseus frowned. "They share one eye?" Hermes nodded. "And one tooth." Silence. Finally, Perseus asked the only reasonable question. "Do all myths become stranger the longer they continue?" Hermes laughed. "Oh, we're only getting started." The real journey was finally about to begin. The road grew quieter with every step Perseus took. Behind him, the warm beaches of Seriphos slowly disappeared. Ahead, only empty hills, dark forests, and forgotten paths remained. Hermes had given him only one direction: find the Graeae. Simple advice, except for one tiny problem. Almost nobody knew where the Graeae actually lived. Even among the Greeks, their names were spoken only in whispers. Some travelers claimed they lived beyond the edge of the known world. Others insisted they existed, somewhere between the lands of men and the lands of monsters. And a few people, usually the ones who had enjoyed a little too much wine, claimed they had never existed at all. Perseus hoped. The first story was true. After several days of walking, the air became strangely cold. The trees grew twisted, their branches reaching across the path like old fingers. Even the birds had stopped singing. It was the kind of place where silence felt almost alive. At the top of a rocky hill, Perseus finally saw them. Three ancient women sat together around a flat stone. Their skin looked as wrinkled as dried tree bark. Long gray hair drifted in the wind. Their backs were bent with unimaginable age. But the strangest thing wasn't their appearance, it was what they were doing. One of the sisters carefully removed a single cloudy eye and handed it to another. The second sister used it for a moment, then passed it to the third. One eye shared between all three. When one could see, the other two were completely blind. Hermes hadn't been joking after all. The Graeae also shared just one tooth. which explained why their conversations paused every few moments while someone politely handed it to the next sister. Greek mythology never missed an opportunity to become wonderfully strange. Perseus watched from behind a large rock. Athena's advice echoed in his mind. Win by thinking. Charging at them with a sword would accomplish nothing. Instead, he waited, patiently, watching the sisters pass the eye back and forth, again and again, until finally, one sister stretched out her hand. The second had already released the eye. For one tiny moment, it belonged to no one. Perseus moved, quickly, silently, like a hunting wolf. His hand caught the eye before it reached the waiting fingers. The sisters gasped. My eye, our eye, who has it? All three began reaching wildly through the air. Give it back. I can't see. Neither can I. Perseus stepped backward, holding the strange cloudy eye safely in his hand. I don't wish to harm you, he said calmly. I only need information. The oldest sister frowned toward the sound of his voice. You've stolen our eye. Perseus nodded. I have, and I'll gladly return it, as soon as you tell me where I can find the nymphs. The sisters immediately became quiet. They knew exactly who he meant. The hidden nymphs possessed magical treasures, items no ordinary human could ever create. Without them, no hero could hope to face Medusa. The Graeae whispered angrily among themselves. They clearly didn't want to help, but they wanted their eye even more. Finally, one sister sighed. You bargain like Hermes. Perseus smiled. I've been spending time with him. That answer somehow explained everything. At last, the eldest sister slowly pointed toward the distant mountains. There, beyond the Black Valley, past the river of mist, you'll find the hidden nymphs. Perseus thanked them, then carefully placed the eye back into the waiting hands. The sisters immediately began arguing over whose turn it was to use it first. Some things, apparently, never change. With fresh hope, Perseus turned toward the mountains, because somewhere beyond them, the greatest gifts of the gods were waiting.